So now we're going to add our activity details component. So let's head back to VS Code, and inside my activities folder, even though for now this is going to be part of our dashboard, it's not always going to be the way. So I'm going to create a new folder inside here called details, and I'm going to add a new file and call this activitydetails.tsx. And once again, I'll use RAFC to get the component structure. And let's go back to the Semantic UI React documentation to see what we can use as our activity details component for the time being. And what I'm going to use in this case is a card. And we'll make use of this to show the details of our activity for the time being. So I'm just going to click on the try it, and I'm just going to copy the card into my clipboard in its entirety and head back to VS Code and just paste that inside my return statement. And I'm just going to bring in the Semantic UI imports just by deleting a character and adding it back in so I get the list of imports available, and also bring in the icon here as well and just reformat. And what we'll do is we'll add our activity details component into our activity dashboard, and we can remove this list. This is no longer needed anymore. And below our grid column of 10, I'm going to add another grid column. So I'm going to say grids and add the column, and this one I'm going to give a width equal to 6. And inside here I'm just going to paste in or add my activity details component. And let's just take a look and see how terrible this looks on our page at the moment. And sure enough, it's not looking great. So let's make some adjustments to this. And in our activity details component, what we want to do is make the card a fluid card, so it takes up all the space of our 6-column grid. The image, we'll just remove this, and what we'll do is we'll set this to assets/placeholder.png. The card header will go our title. In the card meta, we don't need the class name inside here, and I'll just swap joined in 2015 for dates. Inside the card description will go our activity description, so I'll just add description there. And inside the card content, instead of what we have here, what we'll have is a couple of buttons that will allow us to either edit our activity or cancel the display of our activity. So what we'll use is we'll add a button from Semantic UI React, and I'll add the closing tag for this as well, but this one will make a button group because we want our buttons to be evenly spaced across the bottom of the card. And inside here I'm just going to add a button and make it a basic button, and the color will be blue in this case, and the content will be edits. And I'll just copy this button again, and this one I'll make a grey button, and the content will be cancel. And in order for these buttons to take across the entire width of the component and have equal spacing, I'll just need to give the button group some widths, and I'll set this equal to 2 to represent the number of buttons that are in our button group. And if we go and take a look and see how this looks, that looks a bit better. And we've got our edit and cancel button that are evenly spaced across the bottom of the card. Now obviously we want to display an individual activity inside here, but we haven't added the functionality to hook up this button to select an individual activity from our list that we can then display in our component. And we won't deal with that now, we'll come on to that later. And what we'll do next is we'll also create a form that we'll be using to either edit or create a new activity. And we'll take a look at that next.